Unlimited, unrestricted, and unregulated abortion on demand. Wow. That is the moral crisis that the United States is in right now. You know, since 1973, when the Supreme Court handed down its decision in Roe versus Wade, there's been well over 54 million abortions. Now, I want you to think about that just for a moment. It's really easy for us just to let that roll off of the tongue without thinking of what that looks like. 54 million people eliminated from off of the earth. You know, that reminds me just a little bit about a movie I just recently saw, and it was the last Avengers movie. It was the Infinity Wars, and the character in this particular movie, his name was Thanos. He was the bad guy, but I don't think he thought he was the bad guy. He saw a problem in all of life to where there was an overpopulation throughout the galaxies, an overpopulation. There wasn't enough resources for everybody. And so his idea was to eliminate half of the population to allow the rest of it to thrive. He was seeking for a way to do it, and he was looking for what was called the Infinity Stones, which basically would empower him to be able to wipe them out, what he called painlessly, to allow the other half to live. And so that was kind of the way it was all put together. And so the Avengers, they were the ones that was on Earth trying to stop him to get the last Infinity Stones that was going to give him the power to do it. Well, at the end of the movie, he acquired all of the stones and pretty much had conquered everybody. And the last one was Thor. Thor had acquired this, he lost his hammer, but he acquired this axe, and he threw this axe and it hit Thanos in the chest. And when it hit him in the chest, he was going to die. And then he whispered, whenever Thor came up to him to finish him off, he whispered to Thor with just a little bit of a smile, and he said, "You should have taken the head." In other words, you should have eliminated my thoughts, my ability to think and set something in motion. And when he said that, he went, and upon doing that, the deed was done. He snapped his finger, and half of the population of all life dissolved in a way that he called painless elimination. And they begin to just dissolve. Well, listen, let's do this right now. Right now, you get to be Thanos in this movie, Avengers Infinity War movie. And the following states are going to combined, they're going to make up about 54 million. You're going to snap your finger, and suddenly the population of the following states are going to dissolve. There's Oregon with 4,190,000. Oklahoma, 3,943,000. Connecticut, 3,572,000. Iowa, it's 3 million plus. Utah, 3 million plus. Nevada, 3 million plus. Arkansas, 3 million plus. Mississippi, 2 million plus. I mean, it just goes on and on. Kansas, 2 million plus. New Mexico, 2 million plus. Nebraska, 1,900,000. West Virginia, 1,000,008. I mean, you just get kind of tired of this after a few minutes, don't you? Idaho, 1,700,000. Hawaii, oh dear Lord, Hawaii, yeah, 1,400,000. New Hampshire, we've got 1,300,000. Maine, 1,300,000. Montana, over 1 million. Rhode Island, 1 million, over 1 million. Delaware, 900,000. Vermont, oh my goodness, how ironic is that? Vermont, 620,000. South Dakota, 882,000. North Dakota, 760,000. Alaska, 737,000. Now, you liberals, you didn't like Alaska anyway. But see, just boom, elimination. I mean, can you imagine that? all of those states that I just mentioned, suddenly they don't exist anymore. How does that feel? That's what's happened. 54, approximately, and over 54 million babies since 1973. Just like that. You know, after Thanos did the deed, suddenly he found himself standing in this vacant area, and he was there at a gazebo, and a little girl that he had previously killed asked him, she was standing there, and she said, "What did it cost?" And he stood there with this look on his face, trembling, and he said, "It cost everything." Indeed. Indeed. Well, all right. Now we come to the present day. We've left 73 and we've already gone through over 54 million abortions. Now we come to our present time.
Yeah, how late in the third trimester could a physician perform an abortion if he indicated it would impair the mental health of the woman?
Through the third trimester. The third trimester goes all the way up to 40 weeks.
Okay, but to the end of the third trimester?
Yep, I don't think we have a limit in the bill.
Where it's obvious that a woman is about to give birth, that she has physical signs of that she is about to give a birth. Would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified? She's dilating.
My bill would allow that, yes.
Well, this is a horrible thing. I mean, this basically has taken all restrictions off of abortion. And the fine New York's Democratic governor, Andrew Cuomo, signed the bill into law. Now, listen to me. The New York Senate was seen erupting into feverish applause after voting 38-24 to approve this bill, which will allow an abortion up to the time of birth. Think about that just for a moment. I mean, we've got a clip of that. Now, I want to tell you this, whether you are pro-life or whether you're pro-choice, abortion should break your heart. I mean, there's nothing to triumphantly shout about. There's nothing to celebrate. The loss of life should grieve all of us, regardless of whether we stand on this abortion issue. And any other reaction is it's both tragic and it's barbaric. It shows a complete lack of remorse that's completely disturbing to me. And I think anybody that would cheer over the death of a child is they are sick and they have a mental disorder. There is something wrong with them. And then we go to Vermont. Vermont passes this sweeping no-limits abortion legislation. It even surpasses New York in what it's doing. The Vermont House passes a bill Thursday that gives the women the right to effectively have abortions up to birth and strips away all rights of the unborn child. The House approved this 106-38. Or rather the 36. And the bill allows women to abort the baby at any time and for any reason up to birth. You got to think about that for a few moments. Just let that soak in. Just like that. Every individual who becomes pregnant has the fundamental right to choose to carry this pregnancy to term and to give birth to the child or to have an abortion. And as the bill reads here, it says, an unborn baby has no rights, according to this bill, which reads, a fetus shall not have independent rights under the Vermont law.
Has passed this controversial abortion bill 106 votes to 36. Now, earlier today in the House chamber, Republicans offering amendment after amendment trying to alter or change or even add on to this very controversial bill. Democratic majority continuing to vote against all of these amendments. House Democrats say this is all about preserving the same rights women in Vermont have had for the last 46 years. And there was indeed heated debate today on the floor.
At 6 weeks, there is a heartbeat detectable. That is a medical fact. The medical facts of the developing baby are just that. It's not a blob.
About 15% of pregnancies are anembryonic, meaning there's no fetus there. 15% of the time. There's a placenta, there's fluid, there's membranes, but there ain't a fetus.
That medical providers are already.
Here's something else for you to consider. Do you remember when Planned Parenthood in 2017 was investigated for selling baby body parts? Well, that now would be legal under this new Vermont proposal. I mean, this thing was approved by a vote of 106 to 36. And legislators, they defeated dozens of proposed amendments that was offered by Republicans, including provisions requiring a 48-hour waiting period. Let's just, if you're going to have an abortion, wait 48 hours, or having parental notifications for minors. You know, I mean, this is simple little things. Meanwhile, the Right to Life executive director blasted the Democrats for rejecting these common sense amendments, especially to protect these minor girls. I'm not talking about girls that were in their 20s and 30s. I'm talking about girls that were under 18, 13 years old, 14, 15 years old. I mean, things that would protect them. I mean, they were even dealing with the thing of waiting just a few hours. Parental consent. Can you imagine that? Your 14-year-old daughter doesn't even need to come and talk to you about this. I'm just thinking, how can this thing possibly be? You talk about a crisis here in the United States. Well, it's official. That's what they said. The Vermont Democratic Party now holds the dubious distinction of being the party of unlimited, unrestricted, and unregulated abortions on demand throughout pregnancy. This Vermont bill also forbids government entities from interfering with abortion access and law enforcement from prosecuting any individual, get this thing, doctor or otherwise, who performs or attempts to perform an abortion. Now, I want to give you the name of this state representative. It's Robin Chestnut Tangerman made this statement. To require a young woman to turn to her family is not necessary in her welfare. Now, she's talking about not somebody in their 20s and 30s. She's talking about somebody 12 years old, 13 years old, 14, 15 years old. Should not have to go to her parents to say, I'm getting an abortion. So my message here today is to Christians. Make the choice. Come on. I've thrown so much information at you here, I'm dizzy with all of it. Where do you stand? Don't tell me how much you love God, but yet you embrace this crime against humanity. I mean, this is a life decision. And I promise you that it's going to determine the condition of your life and your future. You cannot ride the fence on this. Don't tell me you love God and you can't tell me where you stand on this. As a believer and as a Christian, you have to embrace life. It kind of reminds me of that scripture when the children of Israel made that golden calf. Moses came down to them and he said, who's on the Lord's side? Well, that's what I want to say to you today. Who's on the Lord's side? I want you to think about it for just a moment. You've got a decision to make. I hope you make the right one. This is Jerry Edmond. Go for it.